Okay, so we are going to start chapter 2, which is about operating system structures. Before we start the discussion in this video, we must know the concept of an operating system. What are the components of an operating system, like storage, and then we know hardware components and some concepts such as what is the process, what is the program, what is the main memory, what is the secondary memory, and then so on. And now we will discuss the chapter 2 to discuss the operating system structure in details. Okay, now we move to the next slide, and which is the slide is objective of operating system structures material today. So we first describe the operating system and software which provide service. Operating system provides service to the users and through process and the other system. And then we will discuss the various way structures the operating system, and then we will see the different example of operating system, and then the different from one to another. And finally, I hope you know how to install an operating system in this course today of introduction. No, sorry, in this course before to of introduction operating system, you already learned how to install Unix and then Linux and so on. And then he went to system or Linux means you have already installed, and then you should also know by now, and hopefully you can install Windows operating system. So we are not going to, but maybe now just how to good process of an operating system works like that. Okay, the next slide, I will explain about the operating system service. So operating system service, what are operating system service? We know that operating system can do two things. One, it can provide an environment for the execution of programs. So is if there is an operating system, you cannot execute any program. That's one thing like that. The second thing is the operating system provide service to the programs and the user. So in general, operating system can have this functionalities, one which are related to the user interface. The other type of functionality is related to the program execution, and then the third type is about the input output IO operations. And the future, we will see more things such as file system manipulation, communication, detection, and so on. We are also now we are going to discuss them one by one. Okay, the first is type of service provided by the operating system. Like is that operating system, and the operating system in general has the user interface, and we can have a different type of user interface. One type of interface is become command line interface, or we uh, we usually call is CLI, command line interface, and then GUI or graphical user interface. For the example, like for command line is Phonics, or maybe here in the Windows we can use command prompt, okay, or CMD. So the command prompt is actually we execute some interaction, and then you can enter command lines, you can enter commands, and then but normally you don't use mouse, does not have support for mouse, only from keyboard. And when you enjoy come on, you press enter, and then the operating system will schedule to come on, and when the command execution is finished, he agreed the operating system is waiting for the text your command. Like we can see in this slide a view of an operating system service. Okay, the next slide we will discuss about the user operating system interface, GUI, or graphical user interface. The advantage of GUI is a user-friendly desktop metaphor interface. Of course, the GUI interface is more user-friendly than CLI. Usually, GUI can program by mouse, keyboard, and then monitor. The icons represent files, program, and then action or and then etc. The various mouse buttons offer the objects in the interface cause various actions or provide information, option, execute functions, and then open directory. And then the last is interval at 0 PARC. So the many system now include both CLI and then graphical user interface. So for example, in the Microsoft Windows, we have both the GUI, means the Windows and all those things, as well as become online interface like we call PowerShell. The PowerShell is similarly the Geo interface and the Unix kernel, and then both the Unix and Linux kernels, they have the modeling interface by default, and then you can also use the GUI interface and the Linux and Unix. There are different GUI interface available. If you have two choices to use GNOME, KDE, CDA, and there are many other. We can choose the user graphical interface. Okay, the next slide we will discuss about the touch screen interface. Like we can see in this slide, in this the right picture, this is a touch screen interface. Touchscreen interface device require new interface. The most not possible or not desired action and selection based on gesture, and then virtually keyboard for any entry. So in detail, touchscreen interface, they are used in mobile device, of course, and the tablets, and they do not support mouse. Instead, you have to use your finger for various gesture. You have one finger to finger, and then you can up and down for the finger support for actually doing various types of action, or opening application, for changing screen, for doing other application of the justice inside the application. And then finally, you can also have the voice commands. The voice commands is you can talk to your device like this. So the example of the like in life, in we can will carry out the, you can also like example of Google Assistants, and in your smartphone and your tablets or your iOS, maybe we have CDT, like you can also have voice commands in Windows. And then there is a something an assistant at an application in Windows is called Cortana. The Katana listen to you and it supplies like audio tracks on your commands. This example of Mac OS in 10 July. So now we come to the topic of system calls. We back to the topic of system calls. What is the system call? We have discussed it a few times before, and there we are going to discuss in details. A system calls is actually the interface between your application of the user applications and the operating system. Why? Because we discussed before, operating system is provide different service, and the programs which need those service, they use system calls to get access to those service. What type of service we have seen? Service relate to device service, relate to access of processor and RAM, of course. And then the management of process. What do you want to do with the process, and create a process, and then delete a process, and then terminate a process. About a process, all of these they require access to operating system, and then do operating system provide certain service, and to access those the operating system is also provide like system calls. And then now you have different programming language, like for example is C, and then C++, Java, Python, and then C#, and then etc. So the next is there are most common APIs. What is application programming interface, or API? Is actually a set of function or a set of program code for the particular language, which in this case will actually help you to access the system to tool interface. So if you are creating a program in the language of Java language, so the Java has a Java API, and this API you have different function to actually call the system calls from your code. Similarly, you have been 32 API if you are programming Windows. All Windows or new Windows, they have done API. Then you have POSIX API too. This is an example of system calls. System calls sequence to copy the file and then the contents of one file to another file, like this. This is a search file and then destination file. The next slide is a tabel, or API system call and operating system relationship. We have a tabel. This tabel is the number sum digit. We have the number sum digit are an integer number. Actually, the number corresponds to your system power. So the operating system knows which number in response and to which system from, and the application when it does function, the operating system find the map and open the system code and run it, and the result, it is returned back to the user application. The next slide is types of system calls. Now there are different types of system calls. System calls for process control, you can see in this biggest list. In this biggest list, to create process and then terminate process, and like example for file management and device management, we have discussed that before. And there are system transfer informations maintains in our examples before, get time or that, like load execute, and then get the process attributes, set a process attributes, that wait for time, and then wait event, signal event, and then allocate and free memory, and then dump memory, if error, uh, and then the debugger for debugging bugs, and single step execution. And the less problems is logs for managing access to shared data between a process.